cat girls, a gift from the universe.
Yes, I do enjoy that this is the only Final Fantasy game where your main character can be anything other than human. What baffles me a little bit is that Square Enix wants to go out of its way to take the classic fantasy races, such as elves, orcs, humans, and hobbits, or halflings, if you will, because yes, you can play as a hobbit in this game, but they give them different names in an attempt to make them feel different, but they are functionally the very same races we've known since Lord of the Rings. In fact, if you look at the backstory of the non-Hobbit people, their cultural background is all farming and trading, so they are hobbits.
Well, look at that. You got some nice duds.
Oh yes, that is the ultimate monk costume, which I've unlocked. My character is a level 50 pugilist/monk, which in my current edition of the game is the level cap.
Nice.
She's also a level 30 something mage, which is called a thaumaturg. And
Okay.
I'm also a level 40 conjurer, which is a healer. And I'm a level 30 rogue. And it turns out that the rogue is the best class because you get to become a ninja later on. And it has the best characters, the best side characters to interact with, and the most interesting and fun storyline. So yes, if you ever get to try this game, I immediately recommend the rogue as a starting class. You begin in the best place in the realm, which is Imsa Lominsa, a place full of rogues, criminals, and drunken pirates. It's great. Anyway, so since I started off with the pugilist class, I've been sent to the realm of Ul'dha. Yes, it's Ul'dha, which is a desert-based nation ruled by the hobbits. Unlike the original intent for the hobbits being, according to Tolkien, a commentary on the complacent English people. I like how in this new age of fantasy they can be just as badass or competent leaders as any other race.
Yeah.
Which makes it hilarious, also, because all the hobbits actually look like babies. They don't look like adult men, miniaturized adult men, they actually look like children, and that's kind of gross in some ways. You have to love how the game has just visually promised you action and adventure, and then it takes you immediately away from the action as soon as the lizard men attack.
Oh, you think you're gonna get into this action? Nope.
No, you have to get to the town, you have to go to the adventure guild, you have to go to your own class-specific guild, you have to accept quests, and then maybe you start having fun. So maybe one of the weakest parts of this game is that it doesn't really start off immediately. But I've seen Final Fantasy games having much slower starts.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Or too fast of a start.
Yes,
In
well,
certain cases.
funny you should mention that, because little did you know,
Yeah.
I played another MMORPG after this one, and I did it specifically because while I liked this game, I wasn't sure this was actually a good MMORPG. So I wanted to compare it with another game that has a lot of similarities to this particular game, that has existed approximately for the same amount of time, and it's also very, very popular among players of the genre.
No,
Anyway,
the Lalafell in this game are probably the most amusing race in this, just because everyone makes joke videos about,
I,
like...
too, take part in that subculture of making fun of the very idea that basically a child with fake cartoony facial hair is the leader of an organized crime syndicate.
I remember a video where it goes like, "Buy your own Lalafell, grow your own Lalafell, Lalafell."
Listen, I actually like the Lalafell. In fact, I have a second character in this game, the Lalafell being the Hobbit race that I was mentioning. An edgy-looking Lalafell girl who's also a Marauder. And in this universe, Marauder essentially means barbarian. She goes around with her battle axe, which disappointingly is proportioned to her body. But she goes around with the battle axe, and my gosh, it's a beast. The Marauder is a beast. Listen, Madhog's pro tip for Final Fantasy XIV. You want to start off the game having the most fun? Start with either the Rogue or the Marauder. They are both classes in Imsa-Lominsa, and Imsa-Lominsa is the most fun place in the entire realm, in my opinion. Because everybody speaks like a drunken pirate.
If I was playing this game, I'd probably pick whatever I would thought was closest to the mage class.
That would be the Thaumaturg.
worst.
Actually, here's a Madhog's pro tip. If you want to play the mage, just go with the Conjurer. The Conjurer is basically a tank wizard. It can spew spells to enemies while healing itself. Now, technically, the Thaumaturg is supposed to be the traditional black mage and has the most powerful destructive spells. But truth be told, you should just play as the Conjurer if you want a powerful tank wizard. And I do mean literally a tank. I stood there still, taking punishment from enemies, casting Protect and healing.
Whose arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm.
Hey, the titles come up again.
Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn, Stormblood, Legacy of Kain. Here we are in Ul'dha, little buddy, ready to start my new life as a pugilist, which really is the fighter class. I don't know why they call it pugilist, I am more of a mixed martial artist, but anyway. So the reason why I chose the cat people race and the pugilist class, because there is an actual backstory to this.
Yeah.
My character is named Malicia Meowtomt, which is one of the worst names I could ever come up with, but there you go. Originally, when I used to play Disgaea, the strategy RPG series, my favorite class was the Nekomata, which was a CQC cat girl, essentially. So, whenever I get the chance, I would reprise that character in different games that would allow me to do so. Such was the case for Skyrim, and now here we are with Final Fantasy XIV. Malicia lives again.
Right then.
Okay, so here's a bit of criticism, because logically not everything is perfect. I am playing this game on PlayStation 4, and as you know, this game was originally a PC release, like all MMORPGs.
Yeah.
Now, the transliteration of PC controls to the controller in question is actually pretty smooth, all things considered. You might go crazy at first with all the hotbar actions and all of the commands and everything in between, but once I get the handle of it, I was able to enjoy what the game had to offer.
Right.
It was surprisingly streamlined on many aspects, but on some other aspects, it's a bit of a nightmare. Because even in my limited MMO experience, I do know that most MMOs will allow you to do such things as crafting, harvesting, or improving your weaponry and armor just like that. There is an option available and you can choose to do it. Final Fantasy XIV, however, has you going through several loops and overcomplicated paths in order to get the ability to craft and do all of that. Basically, you have to pick up a Disciple of the Hand subclass, like say the Weaver, and then you have to accept quests for said class, and then you have to manually find and craft every individual item in order to level up as said class, and then maybe after a while you might be able to get an half decent armor, but at that point you have enough money and enough levels that you can afford much more powerful armors and weapons than you would ever be able to craft in the first place. So that whole section of the game, which is a sizable section nonetheless, that's something that I never bothered touching.
Right.
That's bad.
I'll take your word on that.
Believe it or not, I actually am saying this from experience because of the second MMO I played. And once we get to it, it will all seem much clearer.
Right. I see that you're doing stuff here.
Yes, I just defeated a boss in a guild hest and I'm retrieving my prize, which is experience points and money. We've got to have money.
Money is such a beautiful word.
So it seems like I'm jumping around with my editing, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So now I'm going to show you my epic battle against Ifrit, surrounded by a circle of fire. Ifrit looks like the Balrog in this game, and that's great.
I actually know about this fight via another Final Fantasy game. It was a mobile game I was playing called Final Fantasy Record Keeper, and this particular fight was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am very familiar with the area of this game, of this particular one with Ifrit. I mean, usually Ifrit was like this big, strong Arnold Schwarzenegger looking guy.
It makes
with
sense,
hair.
because within the narrative, the primals, because that's how the summonings are called in this game, they have been actually denied access from our plane of existence, and they are trying to get to our plane of existence. So it stands to reason that his form in this plane would be so weak.
Yeah.
By the way, this is something that I really appreciate about the narrative of this story here. Because the primals are the enemies, for the most part.
Yeah.
The biggest, most dangerous world-ending monster is Bahamut, which came from the moon. Is basically space Satan in that regard. The primal's influence on mortals is considered so dangerous that they actually kill all the mortals that have been tempered by the influence of the primals, because they literally lose their soul and become focused entirely on bringing their god into reality, which would spell doom and gloom for everyone else.
Yeah.
The world is very interesting here, I have to say. The world of Final Fantasy XIV and the side characters and several of the flavor texts are all great and worth getting invested in. So in conclusion, I enjoyed this game. It is relatively easy to get into it. It is a streamlined version of Xenoblade and the Elder Scrolls when it comes to adventuring and questing and exploring without getting lost every time or the individual quests taking forever to end. And they're all pretty simple quests too, not more complicated than just go nearby, slay enemies, or retrieve stuff. On the other hand, the other trappings, like that whole mess with the crafting system and the Disciple of the Hands job and everything in between, those aren't great. Those aren't very streamlined, and those are actually surprisingly overcomplicated.
Yeah.
But I would recommend to try this game out. There is a free trial available, and in the free trial the level caps at 35. Just so you know, just so you are prepared for the shock.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
base game would be $15 approximately, which is not a huge price, and you can basically complete the main quest way before the game would demand you to give it money on a monthly basis. Which is another big no-no, all things considered. But yes, as Bahamut descends upon the foolish mortals to destroy us all, I leave you with this cutscene as it unfolds before you, with Elf Dustin Hoffman trying to save the world. See you next time.
Take care, everybody. Good to be back.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na.